Hey folks, it's been a while since I made this series and the videos abruptly ended. The reason being is that I'm working very slowly to compile a book from this series that may be completed in about a year. What still needs doing is arranging the video scripts into a way they fit, then converting them from blog format to book format, as my blogging style makes for horrible reading. Finding the last 1/4 of site sourcing and writing the last 2 chapters of material. 3/4 of the site sourcing I have took nearly 2 months of unemployment to compile, and I've found that after being corrected by viewers, I've been about 95 to 99% accurate on here. Mind you, if you hadn't corrected me, I would have been more like 80%, so I thank you as viewers. I sat down to write this section from the chapter The Social Ape, which is this video followed by my videos on acceptance and agreement. The information was so important I figured I needed to turn it into a video. Unless I get another inspiration for the book that is so important that the information needs to be free, this will probably be the last in the series unless I have new inspiration after the book is released. Thanks for the support, and I hope you all have gotten something out of this series. The social brain. The word sheep is tossed around constantly toward the religious as a derogatory term. Many are just shocked that people don't wake up and think for themselves. Many of them also seem to have a golden age syndrome, as if at one point free thinkers were the majority because people remembered through history were. No one remembers the followers, it's the leaders that make up the history book. Sadly, I hate to burst your bubble, but there never was a golden age of free thinking. If anything, now is the beginning of that golden age, with the internet spreading new ideas and allowing people for the first time to see ideas debated and new thought processes displayed. Prior to that, the majority were sheep, and conformity was good. It was the outlier many times caused by social changes, alternative experiences, or psychological disorders that gave them a completely different perspective than their peers. These people went off the grid of social norms to create something new, and most of the times were not appreciated until after they died. Many times they also had the same golden age syndrome about a time in the past where people thought critically and free. An example of that was Darwin would cry because he thought he would never be able to contribute as much science as his predecessors did. Calling people sheep is kind of pointless, as there is a much better word for people who go along with the crowd. That word is human. Humanity is best known for achievements of individuals who are part of the species Homo sapien, but that doesn't define human. Urban anthropologists have done studies where they would eavesdrop on people's conversations in public places. Their findings were quite surprising. It turns out that about 2/3 of the communication people had was gossip, and only 1/3 was to convey non-social information. This leads anthropologists to speculate that humans' evolution of speech and reasoning was not because there was pressure to become smarter and more reasoned. They evolved mostly to ensure a person's place in the social order. An ape who can stay at the top of the pecking order or maintain social stability in the hierarchy does fine until he or she leaves for a bit to get food. If something happens while the ape was away, like a fight occurred or someone got special favors by the beta male creating a different political mood, that ape that left is in the dark about the situation. That incident never happened to that ape that left, and if that ape is now unaware of the new tribal political system, that ape can make some serious faux pas or get blindsided by new developments, causing the ape to lose ranking in the tribe, reducing their status, and more importantly, their chance of passing on genes. The ability to pass on all the news of the tribe both gained you social status, and it ensured that this shared information would be returned to you so you would know all about the intertribal politics and not get blindsided. We even show natural reward pathways when we hear some new juicy gossip about someone, especially involving schadenfreude about someone we dislike. The human brain did not evolve to think deep thoughts, study reality, or invent new machines. It evolved to gossip and fight for power in a social structure to ensure one's genes would be passed on. These wonderful things about humanity were just great side effects. This is why it took millions of years for some basic stone tools to change, and a certain Ice Age drought-ridden genetic bottleneck group of Homo heidelbergensis in East Africa happened to take their genes for social dominance and select the ones with traits that would be creative and think ahead and store for food in worse times. Saying we are animals is one thing, but trying to grasp just how animal we still are, and how it relates to us especially, who is, of course, much more than animals, is something that's still hard for many of us to grasp. We're still fucking monkeys. Our human frontal cortex is powerful and amazing, but it still has to compete with our mammalian and reptilian emotional brains. Which brains are more exercised determines which parts will have more dominance. Because of this bottleneck, we began slowly evolving with the technology we thought up, but social interactions and belonging were still hardwired into us. A large group going in one direction was better than everyone doing their own thing when it came to war or large projects. A divided group was easy pickings, and people fighting each other over what to do made it easier for the enemy. As we loved hearing stories about each other, after evolving creativity, we began to enjoy hearing stories about things happening that were magical, which of course in their mind was the same as reality, and a great way to explain it. Their stories became legends in their history, science, and morality. It caused bonding, which kept them safe. Over time, these stories began to be used to control people as populations of tribes got larger. And as people were too busy to take the time to question and experiment, nearly all of them believed it because everyone else believed it. On occasion, that one oddball would come up with an idea that seemed pointless and a waste of time until a generation later they began to realize that that person was really onto something. After enough time to study the past, we began to idealize and memorialize these weirdos that didn't conform and make us aspire to be the change we wish to see in the world. But even now, we are for the most part sheep, no matter how much we like to fight it. The feeling of agreement and acceptance is still psychologically healthy for us. Many join alternative lifestyles, religions, or political ideologies and will ridicule the norm along with their fellow like-minded people. To deny our nature leads us going to the extreme where we don't follow anyone, nothing gets done, and we suffer isolation and eventually depression just in the name of being nonconformist. I did this for many years because everyone else was just stupid sheep who wouldn't wake up and see the truth of reality. They only cared about fun and gossip. What was wrong with them? Nothing was wrong with them. They were being the animals they evolved to be. I was the strange one and the outlier for not allowing any of my animal nature any freedom, causing me many psychological stresses. Until now, change could only occur when the last generation died, even in science. Many new ideas involving quantum physics was not even considered until the new generation took over. With modern medicine and the potential for life extension, we no longer have this option as the baby boomers are looking to be the most dominant voting population still for the next 20 years, and even longer if our medicine progresses as much as we hope. I've discussed CFI and how much having a community has helped me get over my angry atheism, and how many atheists have commented saying, well, now you're just making atheism into a religion because now you have a church. You know someone else who wore clothes? Nazis. Why are you using clothes? You're just a Nazi. One of the driving forces of religion was the community. To throw the baby out with the bathwater is a really bad idea. If we can replace the community that people will lose if they leave their church, then that will increase the chances that that person will take the risk to begin to question. Being a follower is a natural state of being human. What you need is a community where questioning is encouraged, and rules of skepticism and awareness of natural biases replace the religion our minds are so naturally predisposed to. Working with our nature by using mental constructs will allow us both conformity and individuality to better understand ourselves and our world.